Yo, what's up, guys? What's going on? We are live with Wes once again in the house for our Sunday live stream. How's everybody doing? We'll get into the chat in a little bit. So we might as well just kind of start off with the what we were just kind of discussing off camera there about the pump last week. 30% run inside of one day, and then I believe it was up another like 20% the following day before finally correcting.
Yep. What a nice little life sign to see, man. Some
Yeah.
action coming into it.
Well, I think it was healthy because there's a lot of people that are new, not only to crypto but to a project the size of XCN, right, of Onyx
Right.
Coin, and it was a good little thing just to see just a little bit of volume come into it and see how hard and how fast it ran the way that it
Right.
did. It kind of just gave everybody a little bit of a of a taste that's never experienced it before of kind of what it's going to be like when it really actually starts to run. Because like
Exactly.
you made a point when we were just talking briefly just now off camera about how little liquidity's in it, so how violently it can move in such a
Exactly.
quick amount of time.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we were talking about, was saying that I traded it, and how stressful it was. It's with so little liquidity in it. If you have 1 or 2 million coins, it's easy, to get back in relatively close to where you want to get back in. But when you have a large amount, it's a lot harder sometimes to fill those orders to get back in at those levels. So it was a little stressful, but I came out green on it, so I was fortunate for that. Um, but it was very risky because we did come off. Um, we're coming off. If you look at your chart there, that 120 region is where we found really, really strong support over the last time after the spike in December. We had a pump in December. I think it was like 300 or 400% from the bottom, and then we found our support there through February, and then March. We ended up making a higher high, and on this way down, we still have corrected right around that 120 mark. Not the wicks. Um, but the candle bodies themselves are all relatively holding support, at that 120 level. So, the idea that a breakout is going to come from there is obviously, very high probability. But I took a chance because I looked at how oversold it was on shorter time frames, um, and the RSI on different time frames. So I took kind of in my mind, which was a safer bet, but I probably wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
Not unless we get some serious spikes, that where I just know we're up so much that I can get back down lower. But at the bottom in a bull market, when you're sitting at key support like that, I probably should have put that itch to the side.
Yeah, you're a brave man. You're a brave man. I don't know. I considered it. I considered it, but I was like, you know what? I really don't like to swing trade my long term projects,
Yep.
right? I have like all of my projects have like statuses or levels, so to speak, right? So like something like XCN or JASMY or Swift, those are long term holds for the peak of the bull run. Sometime like for me, the top of the bull run is going to be between the middle of September and the middle of October of next year.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking like the end of August, mid July, or sorry, end of July, mid August is when I'm going to be leaving the market, right? Get out before everybody else. That's where my long term holdings are. But something, for example, like KASPA is more of a midterm hold. I have a price target for it that I know it will smash. So for me, $2 for KASPA, and I'm probably selling my entire bag to roll those profits into, probably disperse them between my longer holdings like XCN and JASMY and whatever to
Sure.
get bigger bags, right?
Yep.
So I have my long terms and I have my short terms. So with my long terms like that, I can never bring myself to try it because I'm that guy that I'll take some profit out and wait for it to pull, and it'll just moon after that, right?
Yeah, and that's usually what happens to me too. So that's why I say I must have been feeling ballsy, for lack of better words. But I ended up getting back in, ended up getting the bag a little bit bigger, and then threw it back on the protocol for staking.
Yeah. Well, as you can see, I kind of did this here on the chart. Something I wanted people to kind of recognize is that we are putting in on the daily time frame higher lows as we go here, which is very, very bullish, right?
Yep.
Every time we come down, it's higher and higher and higher, right? So I will take that any day of the week. If we go, let's go to the weekly and have a look. Yeah, see, we're putting in 3 weeks in a row. We're putting in those higher lows, right?
Right. And we have a close coming within an hour or two for the week close, especially for Bitcoin too. It's going to be very telling.
Well, all we need right now, Bitcoin is exactly where we need it to close. It's at it was 67.9, or sorry, 67.9 is where we need it to close. It's at 68 right now.
No complaints here.
Yeah. So if we get that close, it's going to be juicy as far as I'm concerned.
100%. Yep.
But look how many times we've tested this trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row, almost a week. We tested this trend line. That's amazing. That's healthy as shit for me.
Yep. And we got higher lows on the RSI down there too.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So yeah,
I mean,
nice.
next one's coming. Elections coming up in, man.
About a week and a half.
Yeah, what is it? 27, 22, 29, 30, 31. So we got four more days for the month. Is it the 5th or the 6th, the election?
It'd be the 5th, that Tuesday.
So it's 9 days left, single digits.
Yep.
Are you ready? I don't know. Did I zoom out on the Bitcoin chart with you last week? I don't think I'm not sure if I did or not. But there was something.
I thought we might have. I'm not sure though. I'm always looking at different charts anyway, so I'm tough to ask that question too.
Look at this disaster I did this morning. I was doing some TA and on the live stream this morning. I was just like, I was fucking circling around. So I was trying to get a point across. Like, I'll try to clean this up a little bit. This here was essentially, this is 2021's bull run, right? Mm-hmm. The last bull run we had. So basically, what I was talking about this morning was that this little circle down here was the election for 2020, November. Yep. And this was immediately after the election. We ran from November all the way till April 15th.
Gotcha. And that's last cycle's, it looks like right before that breakout too, we were sitting at the previous cycle's all-time high, right? I'm guessing we were right around, 17 there?
Yeah.
At that breakout?
The funny thing is the RSI was sitting at 80.52.
Wow.
That's when we started the run.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So right now the RSI being at whatever it is, 60 or whatever it is right now is like, that's nothing. Like when it runs, RSI just kind of goes right out the window, right? Overbought, nothing. We're out of here.
Right, starting right around the 2021 part too. If you look at the RSI, I mean, as it's running up, you have crazy bearish divergence is showing too as the top with the lower highs on the RSI and lower lows.
Oh yeah. You're starting to see I'm sure the dominance chart probably looks the exact same.
Yep. I mean, in theory, I would think, Rob. I mean, we're not saying it's going to run to the same scale. I'm not saying it's going to do a 5x or whatnot on Bitcoin. But if you look where that previous all-time high was on your chart, then where you circled the breakout, that's pretty much in theory where we're at right now relative to this cycle. We're right near the previous all-time high, which is acting as resistance. And if we break out of there strong, man, we're off and running.
Yep, 100%. I'm going to go back over to the point where we're at right now in a moment. I wanted to address this because people keep asking me, like, how's this going to, especially on the Patreon, man, people people want exact detail on what's going to happen, right?
Like, me too. Give me that.
Yeah. But I'm like, man, I can't tell you exactly. All we can do is reflect on what happened, right? So right here's the election, and then we saw up only until April for the most part. Little minor corrections, probably, you know, let's see. What was this little correction here? This is a 43% correction there, right? And that's normal.
Oh yeah.
As you know, you will probably see 8 or 9 of those throughout the bull run, right?
Yep.
But it was up only for the most part, little corrections to DCA, but up only 2 or 3 times. And then what happened was, so we reached this top, as you know, I think it was we were around 68 or something like that.
Yeah,
No,
69K.
Yeah, well, the first time, because we double topped, right? So this one was 64.
Yeah, yep.
And then we had this massive sell-off here, and everyone thought that it was over. So we went down 115.99%. Or no, that's up. That's inaccurate. Sorry. We felt this is probably another I don't even know.
50%, 45%, something like that.
Yeah, 40, 50%. A big ass correction is the point. And then what happened was reaccumulation, right? All through here. You know, we saw a reaccumulation, and then we started, and then we hit the all-time high on the double top, which was 69,000, right?
And if you see where that reaccumulation was, and you look at the RSI right underneath it, at that point you were starting to have a bullish divergence. The lower lows, lower highs, but the RSI had higher highs, higher lows. Great time to buy.
Yeah. So the question is, are we going to see something similar play out? Are we going to see, because this is like immediate, like this is literally the election here. Mm-hmm. And this is quite literally immediately to the upside, right?
Yeah.
This is the daily. This isn't the weekly, right?
I'm under the school of thought that in a lot of broader markets, crypto, the stock market, maybe not the metals market, but I would think that'd be more resilient. But I do believe that we're going to have a blow off tops. That, you know, everything's going to make new all-time highs. It's going to be crazy runs. You're going to have a blow-off top, and then there's going to be a very, very large, very, very serious correction markets wide. And the people with money at the end of it, you know, will have an incredible opportunity to buy. It's just my belief that it'll be sometime in 2026.
Yeah.
That people with the dry powder will have incredible entries into the markets. But for right now, I mean, at least it's not a left triangulated cycle. We're a right triangulated cycle. It looks like we're having good structure, and that bull market should pull into next year, like you're saying, right into the 2025 should be the top somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I've calculated my top based on the last cycles. You had the last 2 cycles. I think the 17 cycle, the top was about 518 days after the halving. And then the 2021 top was, I think, 548 days after the halving. So somewhere in between there, between 518 and 548 days is where you're going to have the top of this cycle, probably, right? So what I'm thinking, again, I did the math on it. Middle of September would be about 515 days. So somewhere between the middle of September and the middle of October. I mean, you have to give about a 5 to 8 week kind of, you know, margin for error, because no one knows the exact top, right?
Sure.
All I'm going to do to prepare for it, again, if my target is mid-September to mid-October for the top, well, then by the end of July, beginning of August, at the latest, the middle of August, I will have left the market, right? And I'm going to, while there's still liquidity at my sell points,
sure.
And then I'm going to sit back with my money, with my feet up, just watching the charts and laughing while everybody else panics, trying to get out first when they realize we've topped, right? Because, I mean, you were here last time. You saw how fast we went from this to this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everyone's heading for the doors.
Hold the cord. Yep, you have definitely panic selling at that point.
So to go back,
we still got a nice little run ahead of us. So I don't think this. I mean, conservatively, I would think that Bitcoin, when it does hit its top, should be somewhere in the area of 110 to 115. That's a number I'm kind of throwing in my head. But if it does, in theory, I mean, what I did in further market cycles, It seemed like it went 4x up from the previous all-time high, and then it corrects 80% to its after a low. But because the market's more mature and there's a lot more money in it, I don't think you're going to see many 45% drops. You might see 30% drops, on the way up. But this is all just me surmising stuff, just going off of what I personally think, in my opinion. I'm not really backing that portion of it, my claim, up with anything else other than my thoughts. But the 4x and then the 80%, I have noticed that it's been that the last couple bull runs. So that would, if it does that, that's roughly $250,000.
Yeah. Well, right here, this circle is the election, right? So if we're looking at the way it played out last time, I mean, what it did, like we saw immediately after the election, was it just did this, right?
God, man,
literally did that, right?
Yep.
So if we're doing that, I mean, I have some targets drawn out here. Obviously 110,000 is, we talked about that one before. I think I said that when we were talking before, because this looks like a giant bull flag.
Right.
And
it absolutely is. Look at that. Look at how many touch points you got. And we did talk about it, because now I'm remembering us discussing the bull flag.
Yeah. We've got at least four top. I mean, on the bottom, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touch points. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then finally a breakthrough at the top for the top of the trend line. So yeah, our breakout, on that bull flag. Once we can get
now, Rob, you're right. And the more touch points you get, the stronger the flag the stronger the reliance of the flag would be. So that's a nice scenario to be at right now. It's a good place.
So this is where I think we will probably end up before the end of the year, is about 110,000, which lines up with where you were saying 110 to 115,000, right?
Yep.
So I think that's where we'll end up. But that is where we're going to start to see some narratives play out. Some content creators, so to speak, start talking about a $500,000 Bitcoin and stuff like that. I mean, we already have Plan B saying that, right? So what I think
when I go by.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like this is likely. Yeah, this is likely where I'll probably shave some profits off the table, because at this point right here, if we go back again, is, in my opinion, this part right here, where we saw that 50% correction. And this is where you did see people like BitBoy saying super cycle, $1 million Bitcoin, right? So if we play that out up here, likely that's what's going to happen. So then we'll see that 50% correction. Let's say we've crashed down between 90 and 100,000 or something along those lines, right? We come back down here. So up here is likely where I will be taking some profits off the table and waiting for that 40-50% pullback to redeploy that capital before, as we see here, part 2, kind of plays out. So then I'll put that in.
Bitcoin will do double tops for cycle highs.
Yeah, and then that'll be the actual top, where we'll probably come up, where I surmise will probably come up somewhere around $150,000 is where I'm thinking we will top, right? I think we could wick up to 180, but I don't think there's going to be any liquidity up there for people to actually take profits. It'll probably be a quick wick or something like that, right?
Gotcha.
So for me, that doesn't count, right? So that's kind of how I see things playing out here, right? Like,
what do they say? The wicks tell the stories, the bodies tell the facts.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see it playing out, and this is where I'm going to be, like I said, take that profits, redeploy, and get ready for liftoff, right? So, but by this point, I mean, everyone's portfolio is going to be juicy as hell, because if Bitcoin pulls up to 110K, I mean, man, altcoins will be looking real freaking juicy.
As soon as Bitcoin breaks that previous all-time high, in my opinion, your alts are going to go. I mean, even if Bitcoin closes the monthly, we're in the area that we want to be at, like, in the 60, 69 area, I think that altcoins are going to start going ballistic. And you'll start seeing them one or two at a time, this and that, and then it's off to the races. But one of the things I was going to talk about with XCN too is, keep in mind, you had people that might have bought the wick down at 100 when it wicked down to 100 and stuff, and it went to 170. You had a lot of sell pressure at that resistance area. There's no sellers left. You know,
Yeah.
if you think about it, this is after that pump. This is relatively the lowest it's been. People that would have wanted to sell have sold up there, so the order books are going to be rather thin. And if there are big order books on there, it's probably all spoof stuff. It's probably just manipulation to be able to accumulate. So there's not a lot of sellers, so just be very careful if you do try to trade it. It could very well be a one-way street.
I was actually having that conversation on the Patreon last night. There's one of the Patreon members that really has a hard time with patience and wants to try to find a way to make money through the fall down, through 2026 to the bottom of the next bear market. Like, well, should we be shorting because we know everything's going to be falling? And I'm just like, man, especially if you don't have the experience, because while we might sum it up as we're going to spend the year crashing, if you zoom in on that, there's a lot of market manipulation in those falls, because while you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I'm going to short everything because it's down only, there's still, because there's so little liquidity in the market because everyone's pulled it out. I mean, you saw the entire market fell below $1 trillion in the last bear market, and like in this one, right? So what ends up happening is you get these people who think that they're smart and they're going to start shorting stuff because everything's falling. Those market manipulators are still there, and they're going to seek out that liquidity. So you're shorting, they see you're shorting XCN or Bitcoin or whatever it is. Guess what? They're going to pump it just to liquidate you, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's actually easier to get wrecked in that situation when there's less liquidity in the market.
100%. I personally, during the downtrot, I'm not going to I don't ever mess with margin trading. I don't do it personally. I would do spot positions. I wouldn't start buying large amounts of spot positions in Bitcoin until we reach the 382 retracement.
Yeah.
And then I would just buy all the way down. If it goes lower, keep buying. The only time prior to that 382, because it can take a while to get there, is if it shows that Bitcoin is oversold on the daily time frame. If it shows oversold or greatly oversold, if the RSI gets down to 20, on the one day, I'm buying just to catch the bounce. But other than that, I wouldn't short, because like you say, man, some of these guys, they got a lot more money than me and you, and we're not the smartest people in the whole room of Bitcoin. We're just, I wouldn't try to play against them. That's just me.
We're just plebs.
Yeah, I like to just spot trade and do what I feel is the best move based on technical analysis and confluence in the charts. I look for confluence to validate like the signals. Do the signals match on different time periods? And take my best educated guess at that point.
Yeah.
Zealy relaunch.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about Zealy.
So I don't know all that much about it. I was actually looking into it a little bit a couple days ago, and again before coming on today. It looks like it's just a community engagement platform that could be used for like employers and employees, or fostering community engagement. And I believe that is going to be one of the things they're doing with the ambassador program. Is they on Zealy, they do have quests, so I believe the ambassadors will be given certain quests. I do believe that based on completion of the quest, you're awarded like an XP factor. So the ambassadors will basically be scored on the XP for the month of those quests and things like that. And certain types of quests will be awarded higher XP amounts than other types. And that's how they will gauge who the top 3 ambassadors are that'll get the bonus compensation each month. It's not on an app. I believe it's on, it's actually a website that you go on. So I'm going to check it out and see what the ambassadors are going to be having to do and deal with on there. But it seems like a really good idea. The community seems really excited about it. And, believing in something there's big power to believing in something. If the community believes it's going to be big, then, that's great. But I'm still waiting around for another IOP, man. I got the voting itch, Rob. Sometimes I just like to see that damn news stick come up, and even if it doesn't pertain to me personally with what I'm into, I'm like, shit, man. I just want to vote. Give me something. Give me something to be hype about.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that earlier today. I was like, man, there hasn't been any proposals lately. Let's go, man.
I know, and you know what? I'm really looking. I've asked a couple times, and I get the answer. Oh, all announcements will be made on the news channel, and I know that, but it's like I'm just kind of digging for a little bit of a nugget here of conversation. I'm really curious about Onyx Core and what it's going to look like, when it's going to be released, where we are in our status. So I would hope soon, maybe through all my pestering, that they'll put something in regard to that to let us know where we stand with it, what it's going to look like, when markets are going to return, what markets are going to return. Just to learn about it. I really look forward to just reading and learning about it and talking about it, and
Yeah. Let's see what the chat has to say. William's in the house as always. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey guys,
Chris.
that's
Let's
right.
go. Yes.
We're getting close.
E, have you looked at Moonwell on base? Yes, actually, I've actually looked at both. E, I looked at Moonwell, I think last week in a live stream. Moonwell does actually look really, really promising. So yes, and Shaped Fox, I did look into it a few months ago. I think it looked okay. Yeah, I've looked into both. I don't hold either one, but I have looked into them. WF Capital in the house, Jetpack, and Beebs. What's up, buddy? Jetpack's got a question. What will the fee reimbursement be in Ethereum or XCM?
It's Ethereum. So
Okay.
it will be reimbursed to your wallet in the form of Ethereum, the way it was spent, at the first weekend of each new month for the previous weekend. So like the first weekend in November, gas fees will be reimbursed from the passing of OIP 48 on the 11th up to the 31st. So all your staking claims and your voting, on the gas that you spend on staking and voting will be refunded to you. However, if you unstake that gas, it will not be refunded to you.
Yeah, just for staking and voting, right?
Yeah, I just compounded today actually for this. We're close to the end of the month. They're going to give it back in a few days. Let me just compound it now.
Yeah, hey, why not, right?
Yep.
All right, brother. Well, listen, I got to, as you know, I got an employee call in, so I got to go into the office on my day off. Wonderful. So,
thanks for having me on, man. I always love coming on the channel, and I think next week now will have put us past the first. We'll be having the ambassador program live, and hopefully a lot more to talk about. So I'm looking forward to next week.
Yes, me too, man. Big things coming for the first. All right, brother. Jetpack says, thank you, Wes.
You got it, Jetpack. Take care, guys, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Rob, for having me. I really appreciate it, man. Your stuff is top notch.
No worries, brother. Same time next Sunday.
Let's do it, bro. You know I'm here.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Have a great week.